Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show, ending on a Sunday night after round one. All the game ones are done. You got the game injury doc, aka Dr. Evan Jeffries, and we got my man Eric B. Mack on the right. How you doing, Eric?
Happy Easter. Good, man. Happy Easter too. Hope you guys had a good one. All the game ones are in the books, and on to game two. How did your Easter go?
Yeah, it was good, man. Pretty quiet. Kept it low key. We had a little party yesterday, so it was nice. That's why we had the late night emergency pod last night. So I got back a little later. But overall, it's a great day, man. It's great spending time with the family.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always Easter time is usually like end of the regular season, gearing up for the playoffs, or it is the playoffs. So it's always a sign of obviously playoff basketball. So a little bit of an underwhelming slate of first games, but at least tonight we ended up getting a pretty good one, which I know we'll get into.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys don't know, follow us on the Hoops Rehab Show on YouTube. Please subscribe, follow, share. Just kind of if you want to watch it live there, that's great too. And always comment from either YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram. We'll try to get back to you guys. And then also our handles at the Game Injury Doc on all social media platforms, and Eric B. Mack as well. But yeah, welcome everybody. We're going to kind of break down Sunday, all the game ones, and then just really get into a little bit of preview for Monday. So let's just get it cracking. So Warriors and Rockets matched up, and Eric B. Mack already knows how I feel about them Rockets.
Yeah.
To be expected, the Warriors won game one. What do you say about that game?
It was definitely a tale of two halves and two thoughts. Like I was just getting ready to just jump on here, and I'm still going to say a lot of the similar things, but I was getting ready to jump on here and say, honestly, like this is why we chose the Warriors to obviously, to win this series. I still believe Rockets really, really needed to get game one. I think if they got game one, it wasn't where I would be worried for the Warriors, but I just thought that there was some kind of confidence builder that would have came from it.
Yeah.
And if you watch that first half and probably like the first half of the third quarter as well, I mean, Warriors built up a 20-point lead. Houston couldn't really do a lick offensively. And I was kind of like, wow, this is like, I figured it'd be a long series with the Warriors winning. But I kind of thought to myself, damn, this might even be kind of short. But then the Rockets kind of changed their strategy a bit, and they went super big. And I thought that kind of changed the complexion of the game a little bit.
Yeah.
But what did you see out there in terms of just overall and, the Rockets and Warriors series?
For me, what stood out just with the matchup was that you had a superstar-loaded team. When you look at Steph and Jimmy Butler, and you can even put Draymond Green in there just because of the sheer championship experience and leadership and his playmaking ability, versus a young, talented team with, to be honest, I don't even know who is their superstar at this point, if they have one, right? They have some up-and-coming players like Sengun and Jalen Green, but Jalen Green is their leading scorer, and how much did he have tonight? Right, so if that's your leading scorer and you got 7 points in the ball game, that's going to be difficult to win a game one at home with that. So those are kind of like my initial thoughts, just kind of going into the series.
Yep.
I do think though Houston will muck it up. Like they're a great, pretty talented defensive team. Overall, they were ranked 5th in the league in defense. So that it's going to be a pretty defensive battle. And then also Golden State is up there as well. They're ranked 7th in defensive efficiency. So these games are probably going to be in the 90s, maybe low 100s, and kind of be a little rougher, more physical type of game. When you get physical like that, The main thing is if you have a guy like Steph Curry or even a physical player like Jimmy Butler that can actually take over a game, that's what makes a difference, in my opinion. So I honestly, what I said before, and this was probably about 2 weeks ago, I said if the Rockets match up against the Warriors in that 2-7, and this is before we knew anything, I said the Rockets are going to Cancun in 4, or I'll give them the gentleman's sweep in 5. And so I'm still kind of on that right now. I think the Warriors are going to either take game 2 and then really just finish it off in the Bay, or the Rockets come out and give it a little battle, and then the Warriors kind of reel off 3 in a row after that. So it could be a long series. Just kind of what I had predicted about 2 weeks ago. What do you say?
So a couple of nights ago we were kind of talking about how this kind of reminded us of a little bit of like the Sacramento Golden State series a couple of years ago. But we also did point out that we didn't mean that Sacramento and Houston are similar. Like they're very much not at all similar. Sacramento had a lot of firepower, obviously with Fox and Sabonis and company. And so I just kind of meant like, there's a team that's probably like a little, maybe a year or two early. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. I think there's going to be some close games. I think that first half was just kind of a first time, Houston has really been there in a long time, and Golden State, we've been here many times. I really think it's going to be some close games, but when you have obviously Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, I just can't see Houston winning 4 games against those superstars. They got some good players. Like Sengun, I like a lot. I can't say that I've really watched him a ton this year, but the times that I have, and then tonight, like he is going to definitely be a difference maker in the series, and they're going to have him play really well to even have a chance. And he did. He was their best player tonight by far. You touched on Jalen Green. I don't want to totally get on the young man. It's his first playoff game. But man, he just sometimes just leaves like a little bit too much out there. Like he was obviously, he had a bad night, 3 for 15, right? It happens. But I feel like some of the games I've watched, like he's just, I don't know, like in these big moments so far, like he hasn't really come through, and he's not that proficient scorer that they're going to really need. And so I think, like you said, they're going to have to muck it up. They're going to have to play Adams. How many minutes did he play? He played 20 minutes today. So play 18 to 20 minutes and hope to kind of body up the Warriors a little bit, get a little physical with them, and again, muck it up and hope that it's in the 80s, 90s, because if it gets into the hundreds, 110, you could forget about it. So that's kind of what I see. I do see Houston winning. I just going to throw it out there. I see them winning in game 2 by a decent margin, but then I just don't know what's going to happen in Golden State, obviously. But that's kind of what I see. It's no surprise. It's inexperience versus championship DNA. So
for sure, yeah. When you look at their lineups, right? You got Jalen Green, 23 years old. Sengun, he's 22. Like he looks like he's at least 27, 28, but he's 22 years old. Amen Thompson, 22. Right, those 3 right there are your cornerstone pieces that are going to be great players and not even close to being in their prime, right? So you got a couple more years until they actually get there. So like I was saying before, a couple weeks ago, like they just totally remind me of OKC. And as they started building, I don't think they have the caliber player of an SGA on that roster. Right. However, I feel like Sengun can come into that, like probably a top 10, 15 player in his prime, right? So he can be that player that is their all-star, perennial all-star, maybe even get into MVP status as he gets older and things like that. They have those players, but they got the worst matchup they could ever get in the first round, and that's getting the Warriors with championship experience and veteran leadership. So I think they're just outmatched in that way. I can see them making it a series and getting a game or 2. Like I don't doubt they'll win some games. It's just more of when you look at experience and everything like that. The Warriors have everything checked off in that box.
Yeah, there was two plays like kind of like similar to last night when I was talking about the Lakers that play with when we missed the 3-pointer and
Yeah.
then DiVincenzo hit one at the buzzer and it was like a 6-point swing, right? And so there was two real key plays in the fourth that I thought told me, man, this is like what's going to happen, right? So and it was almost exactly the same thing each time. So Rockets played like they were making their run. They were down 5 or 6, maybe even 4 at one point. And they got it down to 3, but this is at that time they were down by 5 or 6, and they played tremendously for about 20 seconds of the shot clock. And unfortunately, the ball bounced off of them out of bounds both times off the Rockets, with essentially Golden State having 3 or 4 seconds left on the shot clock. Two different plays, two different times. Steph Curry 3-pointers. And it was just so I just felt so deflated for them because they had played such tenacious defense. Just to have like an unfortunate bounce of the ball, just for Golden State to kind of have obviously a set run, and Curry just to make 2 threes. And like I was just thinking like, damn, like that was such two crucial points of the game. If they go the other way, right, Houston gets the ball back, maybe they score off that instead. We may have a different ball game. So, there's always those key plays as we've talked about. And of course it was Steph that is the one that was the, main focus and the main contributor to those big plays today. So, I mean, he was balling like usual, 31 points, right?
Yeah.
Big threes, 5 from 9 from 3-pointer, 3-point land, 12 from 19 from the field. I mean, he obviously does it all. So it's going to be tough sledding for Houston. That's for sure.
That's for sure. I mean, think about this NBA and when you used to think about father time, right? Like Steph is 37 years old. Like it's still remarkable what he's doing at this point. Just his ability to, I mean, he's always been proven to, like when they started tracking it, he runs the most miles in the NBA. He just continuously runs constantly around screens, right? And so to be able to stay in that shape, to be the size he is, and to be able to still get his shot off anytime he wants is pretty remarkable to be at that age. And it just makes you wonder, like, how long can he actually play for, right? Like, physically, he looks amazing. And it's going to be one of those things where we're looking at, like, him at 40 and being like, damn, he's still doing this at 40 like a LeBron. Like, I don't know if we're going to have a dramatic fall off with Steph, kind of like we've seen with players, right? He's kind of more him, LeBron, KD, they're kind of on that trajectory where they're not having this significant fall off. And I think they might kind of go out like that, right? We saw with, for example, Carmelo Anthony in his last couple of years, he was still good. He just wasn't the guy on the team, right? Like he can come in and get you 10 to 15 off the bench, but he was never going to be a continuous starter the whole rest of his career. So I think we're in some remarkable territory with those three guys of just being like their team's go-to person and continuing to be that at that age, which is, in my opinion, just unheard of. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, what they're doing is tremendous. All those three guys, and especially obviously LeBron and Steph Curry, who I mean, I guess the style that he plays, and obviously he's the best shooter of all time. So I guess that doesn't go away, but he does obviously so much more too. And so like the one thing, obviously with him, Draymond, Jimmy Butler. I mean, the one thing I would, I guess, semi-concerned being going forward, I kind of was thinking about it. Like they really just go about 6-7 deep, and I get it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You normally don't go that deep. I'm just curious how, same as the Lakers, how a long run is going to kind of, like what kind of effect it's going to have, like on your Draymond Greens, right? And so what's interesting is Jonathan Kuminga is completely off the out of the rotation right now, which he would kind of be that other young athletic player that would probably get some minutes. So it's interesting that he's really he didn't play. I don't think he played at all tonight. And so I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, they don't go that deep. Is that, I mean, it's going to obviously, this matchup, I don't think it's going to hurt him at all, but going forward, it is something to think about, I thought.
Yeah. And Steve Kerr has done this throughout Kuminga's career, right? He's been up on the team where he starts, and he's been falling off the team where he doesn't even come off the bench. And it's kind of just weird, interesting, like to see like why he doesn't necessarily fit with this type of team. And I think eventually it's going to be something where they're going to trade him because it seems like he needs to just go somewhere else to kind of take his talent to another level. But I do think he does a great job of staying ready. You don't really hear him complain. You don't really hear a bunch of, just like him being a locker room issue. And so I think he's going to stay ready, and they're going to need him at some point, whether it's this series or if they get past the series in the next series. Because I do think his size is pretty important for them, especially off the wing. And then there's times where Moody or Buddy Hield are just not really on their game, and he might be able to provide that spark. But yeah, Steve Curry's not going to play much more than that, that solid 8-9 man rotation as far as, he'll get a sprinkle in a couple guys, but as far as solid minutes, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously Kuminga, I believe he's healthy, so he has normally stayed ready, and so a series where they might need him or a game that they may need him, he's still an option, and so just kind of want to see. I thought he was such a big part of their plans, and obviously they've been doing well without him the last few games, but I mean, I think it's going to be Warriors all day. It's just a matter of when,
how many,
not if. But I must say though, I do like, albeit in a loss, what Houston showed in the second half. They may have found a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
They were attacking Curry a little bit, I noticed, on the defensive end. Thompson, I think, is going to be a good player. Yeah, Amen Thompson.
Yep.
And he played. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, stats wise, he played 33 minutes. 4-for-9, 8 points. 9 rebounds, 6 assists is not bad. Just his flow and his. I feel like he might end up being one of their big contributors. Probably not these playoffs, but in the next couple of years, along with Sengun and Green. So they definitely have a bright future. It just. They are, as you said, in the most likely the most possible worst matchup they can really ask for, but they're going to gain some experience from this, and that's definitely valuable going forward.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see game 2, but the Warriors look like they're in a good position there. Like you said, though, I did like to see the Rockets make it a game because I did not want to see 4 blowouts on a Sunday, which we've already had 3. So it's been a little rough sledding for the NBA today, when I would say yesterday's matchups were a little bit better there. So before we get into the next topic, again, if you guys want to comment, leave anything for us, let us know. We'll kind of get to it throughout the show. We'll have the comment join the stage there so you guys can see it there. But just let us know what you guys are feeling about the NBA playoffs so far after round 1, game 1s are done. All right, so let's get into our next segment, Something Happened Today, where we talk about injuries or anything going around in the NBA. So the major one for today is Jayson Tatum. He took a pretty significant fall after KCP kind of fouled him in the air, and they ended up upgrading that to a flagrant 1, and he landed on his right wrist. So good thing, x-rays were negative, so there are no fractures in the wrist. Now you're looking at more possibly, did he sprain the wrist, right? Which is when you land and it kind of impact that wrist and you kind of sprain the joint there, you're going to have some pain, some swelling. The major concern is just that it's his shooting hand, right? So if it was his left, I wouldn't be as concerned with it. Because even when you do have a sprained wrist, you're dealing with every time you dribble, you're going to feel it every time you shoot. The ball deflects off of it. Things like that are going to be painful. So you might see him with the wrap next game. It doesn't look like it's going to affect his availability. He seemed that he's going to be fine in his press conference. So those are all good news. You just might see a little struggle on offense for him. And he already struggled today a little bit with his jumper. So we'll see as the series goes on. I think that this could affect game 2 and give the Magic a little bit of a chance there, which they had a decent game today, It just kind of the championship status kind of took him out towards the end there.
Oh yeah, I mean Tatum. I think Boston like they need Tatum. Obviously, they need him on the floor, but I think they can get through. Like they're so good, they can get through a couple rounds
Yeah.
with just
Yeah.
Tatum just kind of like not taking it easy, obviously, because he is like most likely 1A, 1B with Brown in terms of players on the team. But the good news for him and the Celtics is they are in, it's a pretty favorable matchup. And obviously, I think if there's any doubt that he should be playing, I don't think he plays, and so if he's out there, I'd have to feel that he's probably like feeling pretty good. And like you said, we don't know what's going to happen. He could take a hit. He could fall again, or obviously anything could happen. But going forward, though, once they get into some stiffer competition, they're obviously going to need a healthy Jayson Tatum to get to their ultimate goal. So I was kind of curious to see. First off, when I saw the injury, if it was a shooting hand, which it is, and then the X-ray results, which obviously, if there was like some kind of fracture or something, that would just
we didn't know.
Completely change everything. But I will watch. They have an extra day. I don't think they play till Wednesday, I believe. So they will play obviously in Boston on Tuesday, and we'll see how he does and how he's obviously how he shoots the ball and how Boston does in general.
Yeah. I mean, he'll get obviously the treatment throughout the next couple of days, and seems like he'll likely be ready for game 2, unless barring some sort of he wakes up and the wrist is totally swollen and things like that. So, and then really no other major injuries. I wanted to kind of get into Moran again. Ooh. And his ankle, which he did not look too good today, kind of just moving around especially when I saw him walking into the game in street clothes. And I saw that limp. I'm like, today is not going to be feeling good because number one, he had not just one painkiller injection. They said 2 painkiller injections, right?
Oh, wow.
So that was one thing. So he was pretty much, he even said himself, he was pretty much numb playing on that ankle. And when you think about that, that's like you're risking a lot because you can obviously, once the ankle sprains, it's more stretched, right? Think of a rubber band. It's kind of like it creates this more elastic. It becomes more elastic, right? And so chances of him spraining again are pretty high. So he got by a game that game, the play-in, and they won. And then they just went into this OKC game. And I know you talked about this game being a terrible game. It's going to be just a nightmare for them because of what they had to do to get to this game. And then flying to OKC, and for me, all that pounding on that Friday, then flying to OKC, the compression from the plane and swelling, I thought it would be pretty difficult for them in game 1, and obviously from the bat, it was not a good game.
No, so, it was not.
He needs some rest. I'm fearful for him the rest of the series because they describe the ankle as a severe ankle sprain. And so if you look at categories, you got mild, moderate, and severe. If it's a true severe ankle sprain, that is basically a grade 3 ankle sprain, which means you tore the ligaments. I'm not sure if they're using that language as like, oh, it's just severe, like it's a significant ankle sprain, and it's more like that moderate type of ankle sprain where you have a grade 2, which is still like partial tear of the ligaments. But we do know it's more than mild, and it's probably more than a grade 1. And if this is a regular season, he probably would have been out a couple of weeks. So with that being said, I think that's going to be a little struggle for him kind of moving forward and for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, obviously we don't expect them to advance very far, but it's just that ankle is going to be a problem the rest of their playoff run. And so as you mentioned on Friday and just a second ago today, like, sure, he can get the shot. It's going to help with the pain management, but I think that stability of that ankle, and it's probably like a little bit of a mental toll as well, I would imagine. And so, yes, we did talk about how obviously the emotions of playing in 2 playing games. You obviously win in a blowout Friday. OKC must have just been licking their chops. They've been waiting for some playoff action for some time. They locked up the first seed quite a while ago. And to be honest, I was kind of thinking, maybe Memphis can catch them a little early because OKC might be a little flat since they haven't really been in a like competitive game, so to speak, in a while. But obviously, the exact opposite happened, and I think the Grizzlies and obviously Jaw's ankle are just in serious trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it looks too good for them moving forward there. But yeah, that wraps up the injuries there. If you guys have any questions on any players that you know about or some of your team players that you're worried about, leave a comment there and let me know, and we'll kind of get to it. All right. So,
yes, sir.
We got those young number one seed stud teams that we kind of want to go over right now. I wanted to start first with OKC. And to be honest,
give it to us. Give it to us.
They look like the most dominant team in the league right now. Like it's even hard to describe what they're actually doing. Like when you look at how they play the game, how smooth it is, and how bad they beat teams, it's just remarkable, right? So look at on this season, OKC had 54 double-digit wins, which is an NBA record for double-digit wins in a season, right? They had one of the biggest blowouts in the first round of a game one, right? 51. They beat Memphis by 51 points. Like regardless of whatever seed you are, they still had players like Ja. They had Desmond Bain. You had Jaren Jackson Jr. You got talented players. They literally beat them like it was a G League team. To me, one of the things that stood out like this year was they had the best record against the East, and this was the best record against a Western or Eastern Conference. If you're on the opposite end, right? 29-1.
Right,
like
they did.
Literally just went through everybody in the East. And then you look at SGA, right? He had 72 straight games of 20-plus points. Today that was broken, and they won by 51.
I know.
Like,
crazy.
Man, I don't know if I want to change my prediction right now of who's winning the championship, but I do think, I'll relax a little bit. I do think OKC is going to be a tough team to beat for anybody in the Western Conference and anybody in the Eastern Conference. What do you say?
Oh yeah, they obviously are. They're a great team. They're now playoff tested after being in the play-in a couple of years ago, and then obviously in the playoffs last year. Yeah, Grizzlies, they ran into a buzzsaw today in OKC. Those fans were ready, reminding me of the days with like Durant and Westbrook on the Thunder, where if you played there, like I don't even know how you can hear anything because it is so damn loud. And so I think they really used the energy from the crowd. Obviously, they demolished Memphis, and you want to obviously it's one game, and I don't mean it in terms of like, oh, Memphis is going to come back because we just talked about how that's not going to happen. But I think like obviously as the series go on, it's different competition. Obviously, it's going to be closer games. When games are tight at the end, I'll be interested to see how OKC does. But they really have just no glaring weaknesses that I can really see at this time. Obviously, when they again play some of those teams later on, we may find some. But yeah, I mean, other than Boston, who I think like has to be the favorite right now, just because they've been there, done that, and they probably have like the team to match them. It's gonna be going forward. They're gonna finish this series real easy, real quick. They'll get some rest. They'll play either Clippers or Denver. That's gonna be obviously a tougher series.
Yeah, way tougher series.
Yeah, and so. But yeah, as you mentioned, like SGA, he had like 15 points, 12 points. That does happen in blowouts. It ends up being like very spread out. Aaron Wiggins had 21. I think he was their leading scorer. There's obviously like garbage time and all those things that factor in. So hey, they made a living of beating teams by double digits. They times it times 5 this time. So I don't know how you can't say like they're probably the team in the team to beat in the
Yeah,
West. Like I don't know how you can't say that, but I mean,
yeah,
again, we'll see what happens.
yeah. And you could tell they feel disrespected, right? I
Yep.
mean, like you get the media. I mean, there are some people I think that are obviously they think they're good, and but everybody's concerned that they're young and they just haven't they have inexperience, right? Um, but man, they just been proving it all year long. Like I just,
Absolutely.
it seems like there's just more confidence in the team, and like just the way SGA does his interviews. Like he's been doing this all year. We got the team around him.
Yeah, they've been doing
He's.
that.
I mean, like you can listen to him all day. The way he talks, right? Comes in. Yeah, I've been. There's just the way how smooth he is, right? So it's
Hmm.
like he has that bravado. He has that swagger, and I think that that's going to go a long way. He's more than likely going to get the MVP this year too.
Yep.
So they're just going to be a tough team to beat. There are some teams that I think that will match up well with them. It's just a matter of can they keep up this momentum that they've had all regular season.
Yeah, I think their team camaraderie is very evident, and honestly, that obviously you need talent, but that could really propel you to just
Yeah,
higher levels and just getting
yeah,
along with your teammates and just like going to war, so to speak, for them. And so I kind of like the last couple of years, like pretty much all those like end of game interviews, no matter who it is,
yeah,
they obviously typically would choose a person that's had the best game, but they always like
yeah,
as a collective are there.
yeah.
So that's always like cool to see. But yeah, I mean, let's move on to the second round with them because I need to see some
Yes,
stiffer competition for
yes.
OKC.
And last point, remember they are the number one defensive team in the league, right? So it's like they are a freaking good team. So like it's
Really
going to
good
be
team.
a stiff competition there.
Really
All
good
right,
team.
so let's get into the other young team, Cleveland. Eric's
This is
pick
for
to get
you.
to the finals. What do you see out of them today, and kind of going through the playoffs there?
I the game that I saw today was the game I expected. It wasn't going to be like a 50-point blowout like OKC. Miami's a lot more methodical. They were going to be. I mean, they ended up obviously winning by 21, and they pretty much had it in hand. But it was a little closer than that. It was a. I think it
Hmm.
took about a quarter and a half to kind of fill things out. But pretty much I would say early third quarter, you could kind of knew where this game was going. I just don't think Miami is going to have enough to really compete. They're going to be coached well. Obviously, we know that. They're going to
Yep.
probably be real scrappy in a couple games. I'm sure there's going to be one or two that are going to come down to the last few minutes, unlike today. But, you know, obviously Donovan Mitchell led the way with his 30, Darius Garland at 27. So the stars came out to play, and I do not see this series being a big problem for
Yep.
the young Cleveland Cavs.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't see it being too much issue. I think maybe, based on just Eric Spoelstra, the Heat will at least get one at some point in this series. But I just want to give a shout out to one guy on this Cleveland roster,
I know you're going to say
Ty Jerome. Like, let's just go over this guy's career right here, right? So I don't know if you guys remember, he's from Virginia, from University of Virginia, right? So he won a national championship, right? Remind me if I'm pretty sure he did
Yep,
with
yep.
that
Believe he
Virginia
did.
team, because I
Yep,
remember he was a
believe he
big,
did.
big, big like player in that. Obviously, he was a great college player.
Yep, believe he
Kind
did.
of came into the league with Phoenix, and then just kind of vanished and jumped up and down teams. He was on OKC, he was on Golden State for a year, and then he got to Cleveland last year. He played 2 games last year with Cleveland, right? So it's not like he was, even if he was on the roster, I think he was up and down in the G League, things like that. Then he comes in this year and just talk about most improved player. I mean, if he's not either most improved player or sixth man of the year, like up in those categories there, I don't know what type of player that is, right? Because you go from averaging what? I mean, he played 2 games last year, so you can't even really say that's an average. But he had 2 points per game, but he played 2 games. So And he's up to 12.5, and tonight he had 28 points off the bench. So you got to give play if you have players like that, and you already have like really good guard play, right? You have Garland and Mitchell at the guards there, and then you have a Ty Jerome coming off the bench to help out with that. That's significant, especially for your chances kind of moving forward. So I like the way their lineup is because they find a way to play the two bigs together, but they're so athletic that those bigs, like Evan Mobley, can guard any position from 1 to 5, and he's like 7 feet or whatever, 6'11".
Yep.
But he's so athletic that he can literally guard any position. And Jared Allen has just always been a tremendous defender and just a great kind of center, and he doesn't need to score much, and he does all the small things they need. So they definitely got the talent to get to the finals. And like we've kind of said, we can do all these games and have all these games, but it's more than likely going to be Boston and Cleveland in the conference finals. I did have somebody else there.
Yep.
However, we'll see as these series kind of go on. Cleveland and Boston sure look like the top 2 seeds there. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just to put a bow on Ty Jerome. Geez, he played. Just looking at some stats here, he played 70 games this season, averaged 20 minutes, 12 points a game. Like that's probably, I'd imagine that wasn't expected, and he really showed out today. And you need this, as you mentioned, like in the playoffs, you need those unsung heroes. The superstars are going to do their thing, obviously, and they're going to be there hopefully day in and day out. But it's those others, especially at home, they tend to shine, and so he really did tonight. Obviously, Evan Mobley, it was announced he is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, so he was just a beast out there. Yeah. And so, again, I think it is a 10th seed Miami team, and so Cleveland shouldn't have a problem with them. It'll be the next round. I think Milwaukee would be a good fun series, but as far as now goes, those two number one hot, young, up-and-coming teams, they're looking like they're the future of the NBA right now.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. All right. So those two teams are definitely moving on and probably going to be dominating this first round there. So we like to get to some previews of tomorrow night's games. And we can kind of start with the Detroit Pistons and the Knicks. And we'll talk a little bit about just what we expect in that game moving forward there. But I wanted to kind of just say, Detroit had that game in New York in game one without Cade playing up to standard, in my opinion. And the Knicks went on a 21-0 run.
Yeah.
Right. So that was just something that you don't normally see. Right. So what do you see here with this series?
I mean, you could look at game one in definitely 2 different ways. So definitely in Detroit it was a close game. They were, I would say, in control, up 8 or 9 a lot of the game. And I kind of took that 21-0 run as like Knicks have been there before. Welcome to the playoffs. It's the fourth quarter in Madison Square Garden. You're not going to beat us in our house. And so I'm just very interested to see now how Detroit responds. Yeah. I don't think it's, series ending or anything, because Detroit could still get game 2 and be in a good place. But what I want to see is after Detroit, they took that gut punch, what the beginning of game 2 is going to look like. I think that's going to tell us a lot. If they're hanging in the game, it's, within a few points going into the half. I think Detroit, with Cade having a better game, I assume, I think they'll have a shot. But if New York comes out swinging, they go up 2-0 in, easy fashion, I think Detroit will be in a tough spot for sure.
Yeah. I thought, in that fourth quarter, JB Bickerstaff just got outcoached. He looked a little shell-shocked when they went on that 21-0 run, and I didn't see him make any adjustments or, call any major timeouts that were just stop everything. Like, I'm like, dude, Like you look like you're a deer in headlights. Stop the momentum. Figure out whatever you need to sub somebody in. I think Cade was out a little bit to start that too. So
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you need to get your superstar in the game and kind of stop the bleeding there, and it just seemed like they just got outcoached and outplayed in that last those 4.5 minutes of that run there. So I like what I saw for 3.5 quarters, right? I like what they bring, and I think they're going to get game two because I think they're going to muck it up a little bit too. They you could see they were getting physical. I do like though. I want to point out I do like Cat's response, and he was. I think it was Malik Beasley that was saying like we don't really care about Cat. Like it doesn't matter. Like we're not worried about him.
Yeah.
So and then I'm like, okay, now we got a young team talking mess, and that's never a good thing to have. So you can see that Cat had a little chip on his shoulder, especially when they went into that run there. Was getting a little bit more bravado, a little bit cockiness with it too. So I like Detroit to at least make this a pretty good series. They're obviously a upset pick for me. So I think they will get game two and then make it a pretty significant series going back to Detroit 1-1 there.
Yeah, I mean they got to get it obviously, and they might. I did mention I think that what's going to be the Knicks, what's going to kind of get them the series victory is their star power with Brunson, and he had an amazing obviously game one with 34 and 8, and so if he continues to play that well, it's going to be tough. But I did like just Detroit swag. They do have some veteran leadership too, obviously, right?
Yep.
With Beasley and Schroeder and Harris, and so they definitely got a good mix. And I think they're gonna get their guys like moving on to like game two, right? Don't worry about game one; it's over. But again, yeah, it'll be interesting to see that beginning of game two, and I think it'll be telling
Yeah.
how the game and the series is going to go.
For sure. All right, so let's get into our final game for tomorrow. The best series, I think, of the first round.
Yep.
The Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets there. And that game already went into overtime in game one. So what are you seeing with those Clippers and Nuggets? Are they just that evenly matched, or what do you think is going to happen?
So that was the only game that finished under double digits in terms of like final outcome.
Yeah.
So it was really the only, close game. Obviously, Houston and Golden State got a little close at the end. So that's kind of fits what we're pretty much saying, that we felt like this was the most kind of anticipated, closest potential series out there. So just to kind of talk very slightly about game one. So game one, Clippers were in control about midway through the second quarter. They were up 15. I mean, we know in today's NBA, like being up 15 in the first half, it really doesn't always mean much. But what really helped Denver, in my opinion, is they went on a run to cut it to 4 into halftime. And then so it was like all that work Clippers had done had pretty much like they pretty much all gave it all back. And so the one thing though that I noticed, that I don't know if it was just a random thing, but the offensive rebounding of Denver, I believe at the end of the game really won it for them. They just were getting to all the loose balls. A little bit of luck too, right? Because I mean, you have like Kawhi in there, you have Zubac. I mean, you got guys that can get the damn ball. So there's probably a little bit of like being fortunate, and so I think that needs to be shored up for the Clippers tomorrow. I think that it was one of those games that Clippers really, really like probably felt they needed to get. They were up practically a lot of the game. Kawhi played 40 plus minutes. They don't got that extra day in between. They're already playing tomorrow night. So I'm interested to see is if that 40 plus minutes of Kawhi in the altitude is going to affect game two. That's one thing that I was kind of going to be kind of keeping an eye on. But I mean, at the end of the day, Clippers still have a great shot to split the series, same as Detroit. And so what do you see for tomorrow and just kind of like the rest of the series?
Yeah, that's great points on Kawhi because we've seen in the past in the last two playoffs, he's kind of struggled to stay healthy there. So short rest and altitude is usually difficult. However, he's been playing a lot of minutes, kind of building up in this
Yep.
last month or so, and so I think stamina he's there, and it seems to be in the healthiest state, especially with that knee. It seems not to be bothering him.
Nope.
So let's hope that he stays healthy because he's a great player and he's going to be a significant player in this series. What I kind of noticed with game one is I kind of realized that Denver is not deep at all. Like I was like trying to think of like, wait, don't they have more people coming off of the bench? And then I realized that it's literally just Westbrook and Peyton Watson, and
Yeah.
that's it.
That's
So
it. Yeah, seriously.
you're going 7 players. I mean, let's go through their lineup, right? You had Aaron Gordon played 46 minutes. Joker played 46 minutes. Jamal Murray played 48 minutes. Christian Bond played 45 minutes. And those 4 right there alone are going to probably play that every single game. I mean, obviously the overtime made more minutes, but they're going to probably be in the 40-plus minute range there. Michael Porter seems to be a little bit out of the kind of flow there this season. I don't know what's going on too much with that, but he doesn't seem he's kind of fallen out of favor. Kind of with the team, it seems like there's some chemistry issues too as well. And then also just as a player on there, like he only played 26 minutes and had 3 points.
I know.
So
I saw that.
I like, along with what you thought about Kawhi and the amount of minutes that he had and everything, I think that's actually going to affect Denver more because they just don't have the depth. And the Clippers can go to Batum, Derek Jones Jr., Bogdan Bogdanovich, right, and Ben Simmons. So they can kind of go 9 deep and allow those players to get some rest there. So, and James Harden, he's been always a player that's used to playing a lot of heavy minutes. He's always played a lot and seemed to kind of tolerate all that. So I think I'm more concerned about Denver moving forward with just the lack of depth on their team.
I know. I was looking at that yesterday. I'm like, yeah, and Peyton Watson played 14 minutes, so
yeah,
it's interesting.
So they literally went 6 deep.
Yeah, and like Michael, it's funny, after the Joker and Murray was always like, in my eyes, Michael Porter was like their kind of 3rd best player, but I mean, it's definitely Aaron Gordon. He's actually had a really, really solid season, and he just plays big minutes. He's like a pest out there on defense. His outside shooting, I think, is going to be the difference in the series. If he could hit him, I think Denver has a shot. If he's not going to hit him, I don't think they have a shot, basically. And so, he hit a bit. He was only 1 for 3, but he hit a huge 3-pointer late in the game. And so I think I just kind of mean like those key moments, along with, of course, Westbrook. He hit a really big 3 as well. So I know all those times that we, not we, you and I, but a lot of people clown on Westbrook when he does something wrong. So we'll give him flowers when he does something right, because he played well and he hit a big shot. And so that's a good point though. The Clippers are a lot deeper, and that might be the difference.
Yeah. Westbrook, it's feast or famine with him, right? So he's going to have some games where he just dominates, and then there'll be some games where the media is going to get on him and he might cause a loss. So I think Clippers get game 2. They let 1 go, and I think they even up the series at 1-1, go back to LA and make it difficult for Denver a little bit there. So who you got in game 2?
I think Clippers take game 2. Honestly, even if Denver takes game 2, I see it being like most likely 4-4 after 2 games, whatever way it works out. If Denver wins tomorrow, then I think Clippers get their home games. If Clippers win tomorrow, I think Denver sneaks 1 in LA. So I think Clippers should win, although they definitely probably feel like they lost 1 on Saturday. And so if Denver does win game 2, Clippers will probably we have to look in the mirror and say, damn, did we really clip? Did the Clips just clip game one, right? And so if they win game two, we could move that to the wayside. And obviously, I know the Intuit Dome will be rocking, obviously in game three.
Yeah, for sure. So it should be some exciting games tomorrow, to say the least.
Right.
I think those are two of one of my favorite matchups there.
Definitely.
Anything else you got there, Eric?
No, just got 2 games tomorrow. That's kind of nice, right? Just be able to pay attention to 2 versus like a lot of things that are going on. So should be some good games, and look forward to obviously Monday night's games, and then of course Tuesday night's games. So we'll see what happens.
And that's likely when we'll be on next, following the Lakers Timberwolves on Tuesday night. Yep. So until then, if you guys have any questions, comment, please DM us or leave some messages. But the Hoops Rehab team is out on a Sunday night.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Have a good night. See you.